doing some
Okay.
tests.
All
Hopefully
right.
it's fine. All right, great. Thank you very much, Mr. Farhan, for the kind introduction and also the briefing session as well. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, our crowds, our listeners outside there. I believe we have some students, some friends outside there as well listening to this session to grab some opportunities as how it was advertised in DRZ. And basically today, this session will be a short forum with 3 great panels. We will be discussing on the topic of building drone tech talent for the industry. So we have 3 panels together with us today. Our first panel is Datuk Sri Ganis. He is the CEO and founder of SG Academy, a TVET training institution, and he is also the founder of Asia Drone IoT Academy. And he is also the director of Dronology, deputy president of My IoT Association, and he is also definitely the industry panel for various universities locally and abroad. And for your information, SG Education Group was the first TVET college in Malaysia to offer technical drone scale certificate programs. And he and this group, this SG Academy has been contributing a lot to the society, to the community, and to the nation. So that's Datuk Sri Ganesh. You want to give a virtual big round of applause. Guys, it's 2 p.m. I'm sure it's going to be a very challenging time after having a nice sweet lunch. And then we're going to listen to some talks going on right now. But okay, moving on from here, we have our second panel. Mr. Izwan Zainal is currently the managing director, and he is also the CEO of Terra Drone Malaysia Sdn Bhd, a subsidiary of Terra Drone Group from Japan, and that is currently ranked as the biggest drone service company in the world by Drone Industry Insights. And Mr. Izwan has over 20 years of experience in international projects across various sectors such as oil and gas, and of course, including drone technology as well. That's Mr. Izwan, guys. Another big round of applause.
Thank you, sir.
Nanti mengantuk pula kan, yeah? Our third panel, yeah? Our third panel, we have Mr. William Elvis. He is the co-founder of STEM for All Makerspace, and he is also the secretary of MUDAS, Malaysia UAV Drones Activist Society. And he has also several collaborations with government ministries and agencies to promote and to showcase technology to our kids. So Mr. William is directly working to the kids, to the young generation, and me personally have been working together with him. It's an honor to meet all of you, Dato, Mr. Izwan, and Mr. William. So
thank you very much. Likewise,
my
sir.
dear panels. Our discussion will be, we try to make it as casual, make it engaging. So we'll be discussing on building drone tech talent for the industry. Maybe, Datuk Sri Ganesh, Datuk, maybe we will pass over the session to you to do some introduction about yourself and your organization. Perhaps what are the core activities and business nature of your organization as well. Over to you, Datuk.
Dr. Jay, thank you for your introduction, a lengthy one, I suppose. It's an honor to be here with the panels that I think they're heavyweights in the drone industry as well. We have the association fraternity, and then we have Mr. Izwan, who played the global drone player. And of course, we have from the academic foreground, Dr. Jay here. But you see, what exactly that we do is that we understand drone technology is the convergence of technology which already existed out there. What we exactly that we do is that we build talents for the drone economy. We understand that we don't want the nation to be the consumers of this technology. We want them to be innovators and developers to move forward. If you all can recall, during those days when IT was introduced to Malaysia, right, we were excited to bring information technology and various technology associated to it into this country. But we end up being consumers rather than building the talent, right? Yes, some good work has been done from government agency and so on, but I strongly believe that from the background that I come from, where I develop talents based on the technology frontier, I believe that the drone technology should be coincide with the talent development as well. So what we've been doing is we have been aligning certification with various industries. We study the industry needs. We work on the trainer as well, so that we dissect the different segments of the industry. We build the talent according to the verticals in the drone economy itself. I think the word drone economy we start to introduce in Malaysia the last 3-4 years. Right, we've been talking about this. Weirdly, people look at me, academicians from university and all that. What economy you're talking about drone economy? Why we call it drone economy? Because it has its own ecosystem by itself, right? The ecosystem is not something that we're gonna create and hype and we're gonna go just bust on it. No, this thing that we are talking about is something that is future, which is already happening now, which is going to disrupt the industry just because it occupy a certain space between the aircraft space and the ground itself. So in short, I think drone technology is the convergence of the current technology that we have globally, and we are bringing it to Malaysia in terms of talent development. I think that's how brief I can go on these 2 minutes things. I think I want to push it back to Dr. J for the rest of it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dato'. I was very attracted to one line of quote from you. We don't want them, referring to our local talent, we don't want them to be consumers. We were consumers, right? But we want more than that. So we don't want them, the talent, to be consumers, but instead to be developers. So that's where we will drive our country and the nation towards another level of what do you call this, technology and achievement as well. Yeah, so coming up with our second panel, Mr. Izwan. Yeah, we would like to hear from you, Mr. Izwan. Please introduce yourself and also your organization and some of the activities going around. Over to you, Mr. Izwan.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. J, Encik Farhan, and the rest of the guests. Thank you for having me here today. Of course, on behalf of Terra Drone Corporation, we are very much humble and proud to be part of this initiative. So my name is Izwan. I am the MD CEO of Terra Drone Technology Malaysia, a subsidiary of Terra Drone Corporation of Japan. So in a nutshell, actually Terra Drone Malaysia is the newest. When you talk about the big drone players in Malaysia, in the DroneTech ecosystem, we are the newest kid on the block, and we are the smallest kid on the block, to be honest. And sitting in this room together with fine gentlemen such as Dato' and Mr. William, who are very much matured figures when it comes to DroneTech, I am just a newbie in comparison. Very limited knowledge in terms of DroneTech and so on. However, in terms of global-wise, global ranking and also global presence, Terra Drone Group is actually the #1 remote sensing drone service provider in the world. I'm not sure whether we are the biggest, but it's a fact that we are #1 for 2020 with almost presence in 15 countries globally. And also more than 30 offices globally. And market presence-wise, we have 60 market or countries that we are doing businesses in. And in terms of the global workforce, we are about 550 people globally. So yeah, in terms of Malaysian market, we are very small. In fact, we just initiated our own Terra Drone Carrier Day last Thursday with quite impressive response from current employment or unemployed people, and also from students, in fact. So the demand is there and the responses were very good as well. We are going strong actually in the sense of bringing in technology from Terra Drone Corporation here to Malaysia. So initially my idea was actually to be consumer, as Dato' was mentioning. We were looking at actually to bring the matured global technology from our offices in Europe, Japan, in North America and so on here to Malaysia. But the pandemic, COVID-19 happened and it kind of pivoted us a bit. And during the last 1 year, I already also established our own team with our local talent, whereby instead of only importing the technology from global market here to Malaysia, we are developing certain solutions which are not yet in the Terra Drone Group, and will be exporting this to our sisters company globally for marketing to the world market. So yeah, I mean, talent is very important. of course, technology is important as well. But from Terra Drone Malaysia point of view, we seek, or we in our view, that the local talent, the human factor, is also the utmost important as well. So yeah, I mean, that's a short introduction of who we are. And over to you back, Dr. J. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Izwan. So as you can see, Terra Drone Group presence in more than 15 countries around the globe, and they have more than 30 offices and hundreds of employees around the globe. So yeah, moving from here, we would like to hear also from Mr. William. Mr. William, yeah,
yes.
Over to you, Mr. William. Please go ahead.
Yes, you guys hear me loud and clear. I'm very, very happy, extremely proud to be here today. And thank you, Dr. J, and our two esteemed panelists, Dato, and also Mr. Izwan. Now, my background is quite a colorful background. I used to do aerial photography as a business before in the 90s. So I sort of graduated from there, and then when drones came into play, it was a disruptive thing immediately for me personally. So I had to actually change direction and look into different technologies, and of course drones was one of them. It really rounded up in 2012, 2013 that drones was much cheaper, much better, much more efficient, and much more fun. And the quality that you get from it is really so very good. From there, I actually started doing some technology fairs. I did a technology fair in 2015, and the reason why I was inspired is because I wanted to basically take the science fair to the malls. That was my concept, because I noticed that a lot of parents don't take their children to the science center. So that's basically how it really came up to it. So we was part of the maker movement, and of course then part of the high point I would say was that we participated in the first My Digital Maker Fair 2017-2018, where I centered more on drones itself. When you talk about talent, I like to start the kids off very young, and that's the reason why I did the I started with a few colleagues of mine, STEM for All Makerspace. And I'm not a one-man show at STEM Makerspace. It is also with my dear partners, Mr. Ramesh Pillai, Dr. Ramat Shazi, and Encik Mat Noor. So the four of us are what we call crazy guys who started a center dedicated to basically the children, because we feel that there needs to be, as like what Dr. Ramat always says, we need to provide a pipeline for the industry. And for our part, we like to start the kids as young as possible, because if you look at when they are in teenage years, sometimes they've already made up their minds as to which direction they want to go. So we are basically at the STEM Center, we are the enabler, and we try to mesh the STEM community in this different, what do you call it? You got the putting the government together, the academia, the industry, the communities coming together and doing something very, very good for the country. At the same time, I'm also wearing a second hat, as you know. I'm the secretary of MUDAS, which is, we are a typical grassroots association, drone association in Malaysia. And our task actually, my thinking is that we look at the harmonization of a drone pilot. We agree there's so much of great technology out there in terms of the drones and everything, but who's going to look after the pilots? And right now, the pilots, a lot of the pilots are so skillful, but they lack the accreditation, they lack the paper, they lack the certification. As companies or industries that want to hire them, they don't have a measure to actually do this. That's why we need a lot of drone institutes, a lot of drone training centers, and that's where MUDAS is there to promote and actually help develop all the training centers. That's the reason why we I'm part of the expert panel at JPK for the drone piloting and also drone commander. So I think I'll stop there. I'll let Dr. J carry on. Dr. J.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mr. William.
Yeah.
For information, ladies and gentlemen, in 2015, Mr. William did organize the Tinker and Invent Technology Fair at a shopping mall, extolling the concept of bringing science fair to the mall. Yeah, that was actually interesting, you know. Because actually, honestly, Mr. William, thanks to people like you and your team, actually creating awareness and bringing this, we call as a part of the STEM movement as well, right? Creating awareness and bringing this technology to the ground, to the people, to get them come into this field of, or this line of technology. And by the way, me personally, yeah, I think I didn't introduce myself yet. Yeah, guys, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, just call me Jay, very easy to remember. Jay from Johor, and I'm in UTM Skudai, Johor. I'm currently attached to Sports Innovation and Technology Center, on short SITC, University Technology Malaysia. So what I'm trying to do, as in academia, we are trying to bring, because you know, sports is actually a good platform to reach out the people very fast, especially kids, students, just like what Mr. William mentioned just now. Yeah. So we are currently working on Sports 4.0 with bringing all this fourth industrial revolution technology, integrating all this technology into drones. And we also have like in EduCity, they used to have this Asia Drone Race, Asia Drone League. So we are part of the program as well to have all the pilots, the skillful pilots, but they have to be, what do you call this? They are skillful, but we also need to have safety as well. So yeah, guys, okay, that's a little bit about me. We are moving to the second round. We will move back to the first panel, Dato, maybe if you can share with us your experience, you know, what are the current problems, the situation, or maybe some opportunities outside there for talent for the industry. So we are actually targeting some of the listeners from students, fresh graduates, and etc. So maybe you can share with us, Dato. Over to you, Dato.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Rightly said by the other panels when they do the introduction, as I can try to relate what is the experience and so on. Like for instance, we have in drone technology, we have the both worlds, the academic part of it, and then the industry needs, right? But what are we missing here at the moment, right? One, we must understand that the drone ecosystem, how it evolved and where is it going. I will show a slide later. I prepared it yesterday evening so that I can share with you guys a simple slide. And it's a one-page, maybe a two-page slide that how it actually thinks going to move forward based on experience and data and statistics that we have gathered. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the both worlds, right? Now, in the drone technology itself, we must understand that it only requires 20% of the field application, which means the flying takes 20% of the entire drone ecosystem itself. The rest of the 80% for the industry is the data that you're going to process, right? Or the specific tasks that a drone is assigned to do. You get what I mean, right? So we shouldn't get ourselves confused that, okay, I got a drone and I'm flying and I'm going to improve on my flying skills, all right? That is not how you move forward with your skills in drone technology. Yes, you can be a drone racer and so on, but it's just like a sportsman. You have your lifespan in sports, all right? But if you're looking at it as a commercially industry base, there's more towards it, right? Meaning it is if you could look into the upskilling part of it, all right, before we go to graduates, right? Upskilling. We have many land surveyors out there. You get what I mean? Right? If they don't get into the drone technology, then they are not competitive enough in the industry. You get what I mean? Right? And the drone department itself, it is not some sort of HR department in a company, meaning sometimes it's not active. You just put an HR department there so that you can handle your grouses of your employees. But drone technology, drone department itself sometimes drive your entire business, right? It's the disruptive technology for certain businesses, all right? But likewise, having said that, we also hear a lot of hypes out there. And these hypes also create a kind of a bubble where people have wrong impression of this drone talent they're building itself. One, I told you that taking photographs and whatnot. You can take pictures and videos, but you also must have, as I tell you, that the editing skills as well, right? So that means again 20% is the field application, because you know the endurance of a drone is 30 minutes to 15 minutes and 40 minutes. Rest of it is about data processing. All right. Now, when I mentioned about the data, client actually require certain tasks to be done. Some clients require precise data. Some client requires decision data to make decisions. All right. They need to make quick decisions. So if you can reduce the time to arrive to a decision, you actually save a lot of money there. All right. So drone are used as a tool, but not necessarily when you have a drone, you buy a drone or you have a drone operator in your company, that you can have the silver bullet to win over. Right. It's more than that. It is an ecosystem that you have to be part of it and to create. And this require, like I said, we need people like Mr. William out there to encourage youngsters into drone. And then we need big players like Mr. Izwan out there to bring in technology from abroad to Malaysia and let us understudy the technology and create talents. These are the two important elements that we need, right? But now let me share with you a screen, then you'll understand from there where exactly we're going on in terms of drone talent development. All right. So I got to talk to you a little bit of history. It might be boring, but wait, let me see. I need to share screen, and can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. If you notice, I drew a simple line here. It is not a precise line, but try to understand this, all right? Now, the green line represents the manned aircraft, okay? And the black line represent the drones, right? Both of these started together, right? In 1903, when we have the flying planes there, I mean, we invented, we also have drones, because once you have the trajectory to lift an object, you can also work on the drones as well for it to fly, right? So it started off in 1903. If you see the manned aircraft, the involvement or the development of manned aircraft is kind of stable and kind of like almost reaching stagnant. That means you have the supersonic, you have the carrying passengers plane, you have the sophisticated plane, you have the military plane and all that. So it goes by purpose. But drone, if you notice, from 1903 to 1980, 2000, 2010, in 2000, somewhere in 2000, it went down a little bit. All right, simply because there's no use cases for drone then. But when they start fixing in cameras into drones, all right, people start taking photographs, and you can see a jump there from 2000 onwards to up to 2015. All right, this is where taking photographs, videos, and all that is become the issues that we boast about, right? Then somewhere in 2006, between 2015 to 2020, you can see an inflection point there. This is where it took a jump. Why? Because precisely this is where, between this period, is where the use cases were really in use for many industries. It took a leap, and the inflection point is so great that the factor will be, the recreational factor will be by factor of 3, and the commercial factor will be the factor of 10. That means it really goes up, right? So as we relate that to industry, we start using the drone technology more, it starts to develop, right? That means only if you identify the industry related to drones and the use cases available for certain specific tasks is accomplished, this is where you can find the drone technology to evolve by itself. All right. Now I'll go to the second slide. Now, why I say drone is a disruptive technology in action. If you notice, Earlier, I was telling you about the use cases and how the drone were visible in the industry and so on, right? Then we take for the second slide, you see the manned aircraft will be blue and the drones will be green, right? Again, in 2015 onwards, right? Why it had its inflection point, and it is predicted from 2025 is really going to go up simply because it has come from solutions to services, right? You can't expect much from a manned aircraft anymore. What else you can expect? Carrying passengers, going to space maybe, that's it. But a drone, when it comes to drone, it can do wonders. It can help the industry. You see, aviation industry helps in military, helps in passenger, helps in cargo, nothing else, right? Not feasible for you to fly an aeroplane there with pilots and then try to take photographs or trying to do some stunts out there. You cannot solve issues. You cannot fly a plane in your paddy field and try to spray, or a helicopter and so on. Doesn't make sense, right? But with drones, you can. Right now, in conclusion, what I'm trying to achieve here, I'm going to stop sharing here, right? What I'm trying to achieve here is that, you see, I was demonstrating a journey, but not a statistic. All right. Overall, it shows how a manned aircraft at a steady technology rise and use cases. Drones started to be used more in military in 2000s, and as a rapid increase in use cases, and where it became cost reduction and regulatory and public acceptance about what 2015 onwards. All right. And another comment would be, you see, the gap between the manned and unmanned will only continue to widen as technology solves the drone energy industry. We are talking about drone technology, right? You have one issue of drone energy itself, right? How you gonna tackle on the endurance, battery, and so on. Like we have the electric vehicle many years back. By why it's not has been implemented simply because we don't have the battery technology. But now we need to tackle, when it comes to drone, we need to work on the battery technology as well. And we will have a wider gap when we start introducing unmanned passenger carrying vehicles into commercial operation. Now, that is something that we all are looking forward to. But I would say that is not as per technology growth, is acceptance level. Do you know that it took many years? Those days we have lift track as lifter. Do you know that up to 1960s and 70s, you have a lift operator? You all agree with me?
Yeah.
Right? If you go and look back to the history, right?
Yeah.
Up to 70s, 80s, we have lift operator. If you go to Globe 6 store those days, right?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, you have a you have a lift operator.
Yeah.
It took many years for us to remove the the lift operator, until we can operate on our own, right? And it took more years for us to go into a lift, and without having to press any button, it will take us to a floor, right? That means the public acceptance of the technology. Now, if lift pun ambil masa macam ni, it took so long for the drone to carry you and go to a place. Though the technology is there, how long will you take to accept this technology? That is the question. We can put any graph statistics here. This is the question that I like to put it to you. So let's work, when I talk about talent, right? Don't work on a talent development which has a distant future kind of thing. Work on the immediate future, right? I think Mr. William will agree with me. I would say that you have to have the STEM knowledge first.
Yes.
For you to innovate on drones. You cannot jump into drones and say that tomorrow I want to disrupt something, right? Likewise, we cannot talk about a distant future and try to create talent now. You know, that will leave us into a bubble where end up being, we don't have trust on the technology anymore, right? It's like the example I gave you just now, the lift, the acceptance. So an unmanned aircraft to carry you or to passenger to somewhere makes sense, very logical. But will you go into that? Will you put some passengers into that and say carry and go a certain place? No, not now. It'll take time until you believe in the technology, until you have the UTM in place, and then you have the reliability on the technology, which I think will take about another 25 years to look into the acceptance of the technology itself.
Okay.
For me, that means commercially viable. All right.
Yes,
So
Dato'.
yeah. Did I take too much of your time?
Yeah, Dato', you
No
really
worries.
addressed lots of very important point, and it's really eye-opening when you mentioned about, we have to focus on the immediate future instead of looking. Yeah, it is important to look far, but what about now? Everything have to start from the first step, all right? So just a little bit extension from what Dato' has highlighted. So that is why it's so important we get to know, dear listeners outside there, our students, our kids, our young generation. The job skills for the future is fourth industrial revolution technology. So just like what Dato' mentioned just now, 20% is a field-related application, such as data collection using drones and etc. But the remaining big portion of 80% is actually data processing, and that's where all the technology comes in, including AI, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, IoT, and all these stuffs. So that is where we need a huge amount of local talent, especially to navigate our country to another better future. So without further ado, our second panel, Mr. Izwan, we would like to hear from your perspective as well. How do you see the current situation and problems or challenges, and what are the opportunities outside there can Terra Drone provide as well? Over to you, Mr. Izwan.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. J. Before that, William, I think Doctor really overdo us. He has slides, We don't have slides for our presentation.
Yeah,
But,
I pandai cakap aja.
yeah, so we just, because we are traveling, so yeah, we have that limitation. But again, thank you, Datuk, for your insight on that. I can concur with your presentation just now. So, I mean, I'll briefly share with you both on the what we call the technology aspect of it, and also the human, the resources of it as well. So let me go for the technology part first. So in continuation to what Datuk just explained just now, presented just now, from the Terra Drone Group perspective, what happened was that, again, Terra Drone Corporation, as a company, we were also the youngest when it comes to the giant of the global players, drone players. So when you talk about Cyberhawk, which has been in business for the last 12 years, since 2008, for example, and when you have, for example, like Sky Futures, and you have Aerodyne since 2014. Terra Drone was incorporated only in 2016, but the owner, Toru Tokushige, had some idea or vision of how to move forward with Terra Drone business, and also the DroneTech under Terra Drone. So after charting up the plan for the future expansion, the technology to be developed in-house in Japan, he found out that actually there are already lots of players globally that already produce, develop, or even deploy the solution, the DroneTech solution, specifically for certain use cases. For example, you have a specific UT scan drone for the oil and gas tank to check the thickness and integrity of the states of the storage tank, oil and gas storage tank. You have the drones to check the inner part of the mining. You have drones for ground penetrating radar, for lots of application and usages. So from that point in 2016, he decided roughly that rather than develop in-house, start from scratch, where things are already available in the market, why not go and buy this technology, buy this company? So that's how, within a short span of time, Terra Drone managed to become number one, because we expanded via merger and acquisition through M&A. So he bought companies in Europe. For example, he bought 2 companies in Holland, 2 companies in Sweden. Then also we had shareholdings in one of the major military-grade drone manufacturers in Slovenia, and so on and so forth. So from that point, actually, trying to relate to what Dato was mentioning, he saw the potential to do certain things where are required or in demand immediately. But saying that, not that we are trying to put aside the future planning, but again, we are concentrating for the current, recent, or the real-time requirement of the market, and at the same time plan for the future, as what Dato was saying. So that's we are doing in a group level. So that's how the business modus operandi that being practiced by TerraDrone. So that's on the technology side of it. Going into the talent or the human side of it, or specifically as what Dr. J has mentioned just now in terms of the problem and situation that we are facing in Malaysia for DroneTech talent and also talent development and supply. So I would like to share a bit about my experience on managing this. But again, comparing to two other panels, I believe they are more the authority on this because they have been in the drone business much further or much earlier than me. Just to share with the crowd, with you ladies and gentlemen, actually back in 2017, in October 2017, I was employed by Aerodyne, and shortly after I was sent to Denmark, where we, under Aerodyne, we purchased a company in Denmark for wind turbine inspection. So I was there for almost 1 year, and through my experience, what I found out was that when we brought in the pilot from Malaysia to Europe, to Denmark, to UK, and so on, I found it's much easier for me to get the pilots who are certified by CAAS, Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore, or by CASA, Civil Aviation and Safety Authority of Australia. It's much easier for me to get them to be deployed to the site. But of course, we have to put aside. I mean, I'm giving this story or this insight or this sharing by putting aside the matter of the work permit, the employment permit, and so on. That's another story. But when you talk about the criteria to get the green light to fly in Europe, so Malaysian pilots with these certifications, CASA and CAS, were much more easier to be given the green light by EASA or the country of the host in Europe. So we are facing, from my point of view, we are facing this issue of the certification, a valid or a very solid certification from Malaysia. We do not have that yet. We are not like CAS, we are not like CASA, we don't have anything yet. So we have training school, that's true. But if you bring just certificate of training school from Malaysia to the European market or to the global market, we are less likely to be able to fly without any obstacle. There are more paperwork that we need to do before we can get the approval, unlike those who has the CASA or CS. So I think this is where, in terms of the local talent, to be honest, when the pilots from Malaysia that I brought to Europe, I can say with a certain degree of certainty that most of the pilots from Malaysia, either they are equal or better than the pilots from Europe. That's I can say for sure, because I was there. But the stumbling block was more on the working permit and also no certification. So I think local talent-wise, we have lots of training school. We have Dato Sri Ganesh with his organizations. We have, for example, William and Mudas providing the platform, NGO platform, and also association platform to get all the players in uniform for the global talent or the global DroneTech talent development. But without proper certification, without proper international certification from our authority here in Malaysia, we will still be lacking. We can export. I can say for certain that we can actually start exporting our drone pilots. That's what TerraDrone Malaysia is doing now. We are also developing and also training our pilots to be exported to our sister company globally. But the lacking part is on the certification. And I have to arrange for my pilots to be certified in CAS or CASA, for example, or even in EASA. So that's why I believe, for example, CAM has done quite a good job, to be honest, but I think more to be done. There are still lots of room for improvement, and I applaud CAM because earlier of the week, they had an event calling all of us for the briefing and so on. I think significant improvement or development are in place, but still more to be done. And we have to be fast on this certification, because if not, we'll be missing out. We'll be missing out compared to our, we'll be left behind by our counterparts in Europe, in US, in Australia, or worse, our most close neighbor, Singapore. So I think talent-wise, we have the talent, but we need to get them certified based on international certification or international level of certification. Okay. I think that's all from me, Dr. J.
Thank you very much, Mr. Izwan. We are delighted to hear that we have some really good local talents. And I'm also happy to see, for your information, ladies and gentlemen, in University Technology in Malaysia, this is our part in playing our role to contribute to the industry and also to the society. We have actually this subject in university, what we call as drone technology. So we have a specific subject for that. And that subject has to do some service learning projects whereby students will have to learn about drone technology and they will have to service to teach the community. So by the end of the semester, their final exam, there's no final written exam, but their final task is actually to deliver what we call as knowledge transfer to the community. So that's our talents, mentor, mentee, and eventually they will be the feeder to the industry. So yeah, for information, ladies and gentlemen, dear panelists, all okay. My students are actually together with us today. They are listening to you, and they are hopefully they are inspired with your achievement and your contribution as well. Last but not least, time is catching up very fast. We would like to hear from Mr. William as well. Over to you, Mr. William.
Thank you very much. Watch my time for me. No problem. I think in a nutshell, pipeline is key. We gotta serve our industry with a clear pipeline, a clear direction for the properly trained, certified pilots. But then I ask you this question: how do we get there? We just can't ask a 17-year-old and say, okay, let's go into drones right now. We gotta plan it, and we gotta plan it very early. So that's actually what we like to do. I'm talking about a few groupings here. I'm always of the thinking that kids are the future. And when I say kids are the future, we're in 2021 right now. We got to plan for the 22nd century, okay, for Malaysia. I always look at the big picture. I no longer look at the, what do you call it, drones for or IoT or any other technology for the 21st century. We must look towards the 22nd century because my son or my sons or my grandchildren, hopefully one day, they will be able to reach the 22nd century. So we gotta prepare our country for that. All right. So in terms of groupings, how we approach it is very simple. We look at them in different components in the sense that we look at the young kids first. We get them involved. We make them excited, get the exposure for them. Now, what we did very early on is that we let them come and touch and play the drones with supervision. They can come at very, very young ages right now, 7 to 8, even younger if they have the minat. Second grouping would be the students, the school kids themselves. Now, they are so clever nowadays. I used to play guling batu those days. Today, they are so adept at the new technologies that we have. So expose them, all right? We expose them, we improve their knowledge because it's during the primary age is really that time where they actually have that seed of ambition. And we got to catch them. By the time they're 12 years old, ladies and gentlemen, it's too late already. So we got to catch them before that, get them interested in technology, in STEM, so that they can actually improve the STEM knowledge. But what we do is we like kind of spin it the other way. We, for example, at STEM for All, we say that, hey, let's build a drone. It's so fun. So we came up with a concept of building an ice cream stick drone. Why ice cream stick drone? This inspiration actually came out because I used to do so many exhibitions before, and the children will just come and look at all the drones. It could be carbon fiber drones, it could be 3D printed drones, it could be DIY drones, aluminium drones and everything. But I also had one ice cream stick drone that we did just for fun, just something that we did. And literally there was I think it was an 8-year-old kid. He just stood and he just stared at the drone for a full 5 minutes, nothing. He didn't look left, didn't look right. I was wondering why didn't he look at the carbon fiber, the more Changi drones and everything. But then it hit me. He could relate to it. So what we did then, we created the program for doing the ice cream stick program drone, and we made it very short and sweet. We could do a workshop within a span of 2.5 hours to teach a kid with absolutely zero knowledge and build a drone with some supervision with our trainers. We We did it at My Digital Maker Fair 2017-2018, and a lot of kids really came. During a weekend, we could conduct 60 workshops. Now that's 60 additional kids who hadn't thought about drones until they stepped into it and looked at how a drone would be. But then I have to attack also the other segment, which are the parents. The parents are so crucial because they are the ones who say yes or no whether the kids can go into these programs. So, give another example, at My Digital Maker Fair, the parents will come and they'll bring their kids and they'll say, "Oh, you want to play a drone? Fine, Then I will tell them, let's do a workshop. And they say, what's the reason for doing, this is a toy. At that moment, they still didn't understand the importance of a disruptive technology like drone technology. So what I did was, in fact, for our exhibition and for that period of time, we had 3 parts. We had one part where we had the workshops, the building workshops. The second part, where we had a drone cage, and kids could actually go in and experience and fly the drones with the supervision. They would stand outside the cage. And of course, the third part was where we actually highlighted the latest technologies in drones. And not just the latest technologies, but also the career aspects. And I had companies there that are literally working drones. They are actually running. This was a business concern for at that time. This was quite early, 2017 for this, and the parents couldn't really get that idea. So when I showed them why are drones so important, because drones are a career path. And look at this company. I pointed to them to a few companies, and TNB was there as well. Their drone air unit was there, thanks to Arif and his gang. And I said, today, these companies are hiring drone pilots. The parents were so surprised. They thought drones were something that were in the future. I said, no. Drones are here today. Yeah. People are needing this kind of talent. And immediately, the parents would say, you know what? Oh, let's push my kids into the workshop right now. Please push them in the workshop. Because then they could see
this mindset, right? Thinking that
how important it is, a mindset.
Toys, right?
So these groupings, exactly. So these groupings are so important for us to convince. So the pipeline is so important. Kids are our future, okay? So at Stand for All, we basically nurture the innovative ideas and we ask them to make something. It doesn't matter what they call it, really literally about the result, but the journey of building a drone. Now, in their minds, the kids, they are building a drone. I'm going to fly it. I'm going to have fun with it. But from our perspective, we're teaching you how to solder. We're teaching you how to learn electronics. And this little boy is 7, 8 years old. I give it another good one. Ismail, a good friend of mine, Ismail from Pulsar UAV. He is a rocket scientist. He's an excellent example. I asked him, I said, Iswan, why are you what you are today? You know why? My daddy showed me something when I was about 8, 9 years old, and I was inspired. He was inspired at that young age. So we have to inspire the young ones at that age before they're 12 years old, if possible, and so that they'll be guided and they'll be interested in science, in technology, in engineering, mathematics. Make it fun for them. And they will take it up. That is small part of what we are trying to basically do. Okay. So we try to grow STEM and be a part of it. Yes, thanks.
Yeah, that was really beautiful, Mr. William. When you talk about kids, we all really feel it deep inside our heart. So I guess everyone will agree we also have to do some talent development for parents as well, right?
Yes.
Or maybe awareness in a way, yeah. Okay, Mr. Farhan, how's our timing, Mr. Farhan? Are we going to pick up questions?
I think we may not have time for any question at the moment, as we need to go to the next panel session at 3 o'clock.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, as a closing remark, then I will just on behalf of all the panelists we thank you very much for your time and the moment this time. Of course, you can also view again this discussion from the Facebook and from DRZ as well. So thank you very much, Dato, William, and also Mr. Izwan. Looking forward to see you very soon. Yeah, thank you very much also to Mr. Farhan.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Yes,
Thank you. I think we will have another round.